Welcome back to FM Storey, our sporting save. We're currently sat third in the league behind Braga and Benfica, but we are only just entering into October. We've been given a pretty tough draw in the Champions League. We've already been hammered away at Anfield, and we lost at home to Bayern Munich. We do have a couple of big games coming up against Ferencváros, which are going to be crucial in terms of us at least securing that third position in the Europa League spot. And obviously, this being the first season, we've got the World Cup coming up in November and December. We do have, while the World Cup's on, we do have the Allianz Cup group stages. So let's see what players we've got left available when that comes around to see what we're going to put in, what team we're going to put out for that. And let's get going. Before we do get started, if you do enjoy the video, please like, comment and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get started. We are approaching the end of October and we've got a big game coming up in the league away at Braga. Since the end of the last episode, things have gone pretty well. We are unbeaten in all competitions. We have played our local rivals Benfica in that run of games as well. We started off with a game against Boavista at home, which we won fairly comfortably in the end. We did start with the 4-2-3-1, but we found that first half we weren't really creating any chances. Second half we went back to the back three. We brought Diamande on to play in the centre of the defence, and then suddenly we started creating chances. And we got 2 in 3 minutes, Marcos Leonardo and Pedro Goncalves, and a fairly comfortable 2-0 victory just to end on the back of the victory against Casapia at the end of the last episode. But we had been on a bit of a bad run with the Liverpool Bayern Munich Champions League games and the defeat against Portimonense. So it was important to put a good performance in against Boavista to go with back-to-back victories, taking into account the Casapia game. We then went away to Ferencváros in the Champions League, and in the first half, neither team really created an awful lot. But again, we scored goals in a short spell of time. We got 3 goals in less than 10 minutes in the second half. Marcos Leonardo, Marcus Edwards with a penalty, and Goncalo Estevez with a lovely volley on the overlap to give us the dominant 3-0 victory away at Ferencváros, which was pretty important in terms of at least making sure we finished third in the Champions League group. There was no league game between the 2 games against Ferencváros, and the home game against them was pretty disappointing. We created lots of chances, didn't get enough of them on target, didn't trouble the keeper enough. We had 1 goal disallowed, but it was a good 5 yards offside. And the only positive is that we kept things tight at the back. We then went away to Salgueiros in the Taça de Portugal third round, and going into the game, I was in 2 minds about whether to pick a full strength team or whether to completely rotate it and rest people, because we had a big game coming up against Benfica at the weekend. We had a big game coming up against Benfica in the midweek. In the end, I'm quite glad that we didn't. We ended up winning 5-1, really comfortable victory. Their goal came nothing more than a consolation goal in injury time. I'm glad that we managed to get through, because obviously they're expecting us, I think, to make it at least to the semi-final of the Taça de Portugal. Big that we did make it through, because Benfica didn't. Benfica got knocked out in the third round, which then gave us confidence going into the home game against Benfica in the league. And we really deserved the victory. Really comfortable victory in the end. They only had 1 shot on target the whole game. We took an early lead through Marcos Leonardo after Pedro Goncalves had laid the ball through for him. Marcus Edwards added a second. Keeper made a great save from a first-time shot from Marcus Edwards, but he was able to slot the ball home from a narrow angle to put us 2-0 up. And then before half-time, Marcos Leonardo added a second for him and a third for us to take us to 3-0 at half-time. Really, Marcos Leonardo could have scored another 2 or 3 in the second half, but it was a good performance. We were creating chances. We took some of them this time. and it was a big game. The first of our games against our sort of big rivals in the league. The first big challenge. Obviously, it was nice to be at home, but that game put us top of the table. And then we're going into this next game away at Braga. This is a really big game again. So we're going Benfica and then Braga straight on the back of it. Obviously, if you can see from the league table there, we're only top ahead of them by 1 goal on goal difference. Both got exactly the same records. Obviously, as we've kind of discussed the last time we looked at in the last episode when we looked at the league table, Abel Ruiz has been outstanding for them. He's got 13 goals. He's got the highest average rating. But Marcus Leonardo's keeping up with him in terms of goals. Pedro Goncalves is leading assists. They're both in the highest average ratings. We've kept more clean sheets than them this season, so hopefully we can go away to Braga and put in a performance and get a result to keep us top of the table. Ideally, fresh off a big victory like we've had against Benfica, we would pick the same team going into this game against Braga. Unfortunately, Manuel Ugarte is suspended, so we've moved Marita across into the ball-winning midfield role. We've moved Matthias Reis. This could be a gamble that's going to backfire, but Matthias Reis looked like the best one to play the deep line playmaker if Marita's not in the team, especially because Mansverk's injured as well as Ugarte being suspended. And then we've brought in Nuno Santos to play as the left wing back. Luckily, just after that, Abel Ruiz went off injured for them, so hopefully their goal threat's dropped a bit. Right, Edwards wins it back. Diamande Coates into Pedro Goncalves. What a finish! But is he offside? It's a lovely ball through. He must have just gone just a touch too early. Did. That's the thing, he had time to. Adan with the long kick. They've got it. Goncalves. Marcus Edwards has given it away, but Leonardo picked up on some very, very bad defending and just dinks it over the keeper. It's a bit of bad play all round. So Goncalves plays it into Edwards. First touch isn't great. The defender gets it. And then they get in a muddle. And Leonardo dinks it over and we've got a 1-0 lead. I mean, apart from the disallowed goal and the goal, not much happened in that half. Obviously, we are now missing our 2 first-choice defensive midfielders, which is balanced out by the fact that they're missing out on the league's leading goal scorer, who also went off injured early on. Just need to keep it going in the second half. And Medeiros with the free kick, and he's given a penalty. What? I'm assuming that was for a push. Now, Adan's saved 2 penalties so far this season, but he couldn't save that one. He guessed the right way, just couldn't get to it. Right. Marcus Edwards has given the ball away there. Oh my god. Stupid mistakes. I mean, like, did they have any other chances in that second half apart from the goals? The penalty. And then that chance, and that's it. Just stupid mistakes and a poor performance. Not what we needed against the team that was in second place and now is top of the table. And that looks as though it sees us drop below Porto in the league as well. Not great. We've made it to the end of November. We've got a few players away at the World Cup, and things have gone reasonably well up to now. So following on from the game against Braga. We went away to Bayern Munich in the Champions League and lost 2-1. We kept them fairly quiet for most of the game, but they took the lead on 51 minutes through Kimmich. We equalised just after the hour, but we were powerless to stop Gravenberch tapping in after Choupo-Moting had taken the ball around the goalkeeper. We were then away at Famalicão, and defensively we were pretty solid, but it took us until the 93rd minute to get a goal. We should have scored many more than we actually did. We then began November away at Liverpool in the Champions League. First half, we picked pretty much a fully rotated team. First half, we were dreadful. We were 2-0 down at half time and 3-0 down shortly after half time. We did manage to pull a couple of goals back through Arthur Gomez and Paulinho, but it wasn't enough to get us back on level terms. We then followed that up with a 3-0 home victory over Maritimo. We started pretty slowly, but once we got the first goal from Marcus Edwards on the 38th minute, we added a second goal from Pedro Goncalves just before half time, and then Marcus Edwards added a second late on just to guarantee us a 3-0 victory. In the end, a pretty dominant performance, but it did take us a little bit of getting going in this game. We then went away to Oliveirense in the Taça de Portugal. Got off to a flying start with 2 early goals from Marcos Leonardo. Unfortunately, he went off injured not long after the second of those. Rodrigo Ribeiro came on for him and scored just before half time. Marcus Edwards had a penalty in the second half, and they got a late consolation goal. But another dominant victory, and hopefully we could have kept on going like this. And then our last league game before the break for the World Cup, we went away to Santa Clara. Absolutely battered them. Should have won comfortably. In the end, we drew 1-1, thanks to possibly the worst bit of goalkeeping I have ever seen. As you can see, they're attacking. Pedro Goncalves wins the ball back by our own byline, passes it back to the keeper, who somehow manages to control the ball, face the opposite way for them to slide tackle the ball into the back of the net. I'm certain we need a new goalkeeper going forward, whether it's at the end of the season or even in January. We then began the Allianz Cup with 4 of our players away on international duty. The first game, we struggled very much so. First half, we didn't really create an awful lot. Trincão managed to pick up a goal in the second half to give us a 1-0 victory away at BWIN, but yeah, we need to step up our performances based on this. We then went away to AC Viseu in the second Allianz Cup game. Much better performance. We actually took some chances. We were 3-0 up at half time thanks to a brace from Marcus Edwards and a goal from Sivert Mansverk. And then Diamande and Ribeiro added a couple of goals later on to make the scoreline look even more comfortable than it probably should have been. And what that means is going into the final game against Vizela, we are top of the table with 2 wins from 2 games on 6 points. Vizela have got 4 points. So we do need to beat Vizela to make it into the quarterfinals, or at least we need a point. As long as we avoid defeat, we should make it through. So we made one change from the first 2 games in the group stage of the Allianz Cup. We've brought Antonio Adan back into the team, just the extra experience with us going up against a top division club, and hopefully we can at least come away with the point that we need. Right, Marcus Edwards with the free kick. It's been headed clear as far as work. Can we get the ball, work the ball back into the box? All of our players ran away from that. A strange one. But Marcus Edwards wins the ball back into Ribeiro. Trincão, I think he was offside. Obviously not. He certainly looked offside. So Edwards wins the ball back. Bender comes across. He plays it into Ribeiro. He takes a touch across the face of goal, and Trincão buries from right in front of the goal. No, the right back that had gone out took, all looking good so far. Matthias Rice, Edwards. Mansverk wide to Barroso. Can he get the cross in? No, he's giving it away. Right, Diamande, Mansverk, Barroso. Johnson just. Rice out to Esgaio, into Marcus Edwards, and there's Ribeiro to tap it home. I think we'll make the change at left wing back with Esgaio struggling with an injury. Edwards' cross just looped up nicely, and Ribeiro had an empty net to tap it into. Dan comes out and claims the ball. Diamandi finds Nuno Santos in acres of space on the left-hand side. He drives forward and then gives the ball away. I mean, surely that's onside. Didn't look offside. But that's just... In the end, that was a hell of a lot closer than it should have been. But all in all, it was a pretty decent performance, especially when you think that we're missing 5 key players at least. I mean, we're missing Inacio and Coates at the back. We're missing Agate in midfield at the World Cup. We're missing Morita because he's injured. We're missing Pedro Goncalves. We're missing Marcus Leonardo, who's injured. So really 6 players that of what would normally be a first choice team are missing. So it was a decent performance. Luckily, when we come around to the quarterfinals, we'll have Inacio back, who qualifies as an under-21 player. So there's not as much of a issue. And hopefully, I think Goncalo Esteves, who's been playing right wing back, he's under-21 as well. So that's someone else, hopefully, when he's back from his injury. Or hopefully he is back from his injury for the next round. And then we've got more of a full-strength side out. But overall, pretty decent performance, and at least we've qualified. And that's the end of this episode. All in all, we're in a pretty decent position. We could be in a better position if it wasn't for stupid mistakes. We're currently sat in 3rd in the league, 1 point behind Porto and Benfica. We do have some big games coming up. We've got Porto away in the league coming up soon. We've got Porto away in the Cup coming up soon. We're obviously going to have a quarter-final of the Allianz Cup coming up. We've got knockout playoff round of the Europa League against Union Berlin coming up as well. So we do have some big games coming up in the next couple of months. Hopefully, once we get the players back from the World Cup, we can go on and start performing like we know we can do.